Good evening, everybody. Welcome to PSGL for the F3 race, which could well be a championship decider. In fact, given the form of previous races and how this season has gone, we're going to need something pretty miraculous to happen for it to not be a championship decider. All Carlsberg needs to do is secure 4 more points. A 7th position would be good enough to get him the championship. He's been absolutely dominant this season, but I'm sure Ginger will be hoping to get another victory and to try and stop Carlsberg. We're at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve tonight for round 12 out of 14, the Canadian Grand Prix, and it looks like we've been teleported back to the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix. It is absolutely pouring it down for this qualifying session, Sam.
Oh my goodness, I wouldn't have expected this, and wet qualifying, this really puts a spanner in the works for the drivers, since a lot of the drivers do a lot of dry practice, don't really do too much on the wets, and I guess you'll see a little delay of drivers coming out since they're trying to figure out what to make better in their setup to adapt to this qualifying, but also not hinder them much in the race. We don't know the race conditions yet, of course, but well, looking at how much we've had a delay of, we could be seeing for a little bit of rain in the race as well, so that could be very interesting indeed. But the first driver out is Toxic, so we will be looking to get lap around the track with him in a minute.
Yeah, Toxic having his best result of the season. Last time out, getting a podium, and that's put McLaren very close to the Constructors' Championship as well. They're currently 64 points ahead of Alfa Romeo, so probably need a bit more to do that tonight. Might need a bit of luck or another fantastic performance from both of their drivers, so that will probably go on to next round at America, but almost certainly Carlsberg will take the championship. Quite a tricky circuit in the wet as well, Canada. There's a lot of traction zones, so everyone, of course, has to run with no assists. Line is the only one that they're allowed to use. It's going to be quite tricky out of some of these corners when you put the throttle down, especially coming out of the hairpin, especially through the Wall of Champions, that infamous chicane that has claimed many victims over the years. It's going to be really tricky in this qualifying session, but thankfully, around here, you can be quite low down and get a victory. You can make a lot of pit stops and get a victory. You can be Jenson Button and you can do that and crash into your teammate and somehow take the win on the final lap all at once. It's definitely a track that does provide a lot of action. Hopefully we're going to see some fantastic racing over the 35 laps that we'll get after the qualifying session as Toxic taps his way through the wall at the Wall of Champions, gets away without any major damage, and let's follow him round then as he brakes hard into turn 1. That then feeds you out into turn 2. You need to be careful with that pit exit on the left hand side, can be very tricky indeed, and in fact he's got his teammate not too far behind him by the look of things for turn 3-4 chicane, the Sebastian Vettel chicane from 2019, as they now come through turn 5 easy flat in the dry, not so much in these wet conditions. 7 and 8, this would normally lead to a DRS zone in the dry, but isn't really a massive overtaking opportunity, and you can see Toxic just drifting ever so slightly there, struggling to find grip on these intermediate tyres under the bridge for the braking zone into turns 9 and 10. Very tricky chicane indeed, easy to invalidate through there as you now head down towards the hairpin. One of the best overtaking opportunities on this circuit before DRS became a thing. Keeping it nice and tidy through there, through these little kinks then that lead onto the straight, and then it's just straight flat out now for these drivers. You'll see a lot of slipstreaming in the race down here. Need to pick their spot for the braking point. Very tricky pit entry as well. You can see going straight on there, easy to get caught out, keeping it steady through the Wall of Champions, not pushing too much to the limit through that chicane, avoiding invalidating his lap time as he comes across the line with a 120.998. We'll see who else is heading across the line now. We've got one of the Mercedes coming up towards the finish. That is the Flying Finn, or Lars, as you might have known him as. He's invalidated on his lap. Cohen coming into the pits. This is just proving what I was saying. It is so tricky. Black Phoenix has gone fastest though on a 120.493. Track limits can be a bit hard around here normally. You're going to find it even tougher at the moment as Gabri goes into third.
Yeah, and we talked about drivers making mistakes, etc. Simply just lost the car through sector 1 at the exit of turn 2, it looks like, and he hasn't got any wing damage, so he can actually go for another run if he wanted to, which is good for the AlphaTauri, but it's not a good start really in qualifying if you're having those sort of mistakes, because your confidence around this track in the wet conditions kind of deteriorates a little bit. And like you said, very easy to invalidate around this track. A lot of drivers have done that. We've seen Zizzle, Lars, Ginger all invalidate their lap, and also Zach and Boss Wonder as well. It'll be interesting to see how some other drivers do here tonight. Cows are sliding through the final corner, but we also have a new driver tonight in Ryan. Is there anyone else who's got who we haven't seen before, or is that it?
I think Ryan is the only new driver. What isn't new, though, is Carlsberg half a second faster than everyone. And I saw his start to the lap. He was very wild coming through the final chicane on his outlap. So there's definitely more time to be found from Carlsberg. And statistics-wise, you can say he's easily dominated this season. 11 races so far. He's only been there for 10 of them. 7 wins, a second place, bit of bad luck in Spain and Belgium, 8th in Spain, and not retiring in Belgium. But at the start of the season, he was winning because of others' mistakes. Let's not forget Lars crossed the line first in Austria, had penalties. Loney, who has now left the league, he crossed the line first in Hungary, had penalties. It's only really took a couple of races, I'd say, for Carlsberg to get into his stride, definitely in terms of race pace, but since then he's just looked unstoppable.
Well, I think the start of the season, obviously, he didn't actually finish across the line first. I think him winning those races just led to more motivation, perhaps. He was more confident as well, and the morale in that McLaren team, him and his teammate have a good friendship, Toxic and Carlsberg, and it's been really good help for these two. And we're now seeing, obviously, Toxic putting in performances, getting his first podium last week, but it seems to be some sort of thing with Carlsberg this season. It's just, at the start of the season, he looked good, but he wasn't the top guy, but he's just progressed into a really consistent, good driver, and especially in the race, he's proved it. And now in qualifying, he seems to be really good. I mean, as we see Lars getting closer, but remember, that's his second run. Carlsberg only did his in his first, but he's on a run right now, so we will see if he can beat that time.
Yeah, quite often you do see this in intermediate or wet conditions because the drivers, like Sam mentioned, don't really practice as much. They do take multiple runs, seeing what the track's like, seeing if the track conditions are going to evolve. If it gets drier, you don't want to be stuck in the pits waiting to get out, costing yourself possible lap time as Ginger goes fastest and his teammate Kazizel just ahead of him there on track. He's just behind him on the grid at the moment, second place. Let's not forget Ginger desperately unlucky last time out, getting a puncture coming through turn 1 on the final lap at Bahrain. Ended up not scoring any points, so I think he'll be wanting to put in a pretty good performance tonight. Carlsberg, though, half a second up at the moment. This is going to be an absolutely fantastic lap time. Surely he's going to go to the end and finish this lap. And you've got to say, Carlsberg's been dominant as the fastest driver on the grid. The last few races, Ginger has shown that he seems to have the measure of everyone else but the McLaren.
Wow. Yeah, and look at that. 4 attempts clear almost of Ginger there, but Carlsberg just, even when Ginger's got the pace now, like Ginger's been good the last couple of rounds, he's shown really strong pace, but Carlsberg's just another level of all, like not of all these guys, because Ginger's come out of the blue, but it seems to me that Carlsberg all season has just been the next level ahead, and he's just been so consistent. He's also been clean, hasn't he, races? He hasn't got penalties as of often as some of the other drivers who've potentially gone on to win races on track but not win them overall. But to me, Carlsberg just mainly is the fact that he's been so clean, he's been consistent, and of course, like again, he's now just showing really, really strong pace. And at 19.1, that's incredible for a lap time, but it kind of also indicates to me that the track is drying up a lot because the times are going down very quickly. And do expect pit map, there we go, 89 now, so looking at the skies, it looks like it is going to be drying up, and the track is very, very quick now compared to what it was to start with.
Yeah, they are still around 11 seconds what we'd expect, 11 seconds off what we'd expect them to do in the dry. You'd expect somewhere in the mid to high 107s from these drivers in dry conditions. That's what we saw in F2, F4 and F5, so they are still quite a way off. It's probably not going to get to full dry conditions at all. You'd be an extremely brave driver to attempt that. Well, let's see what Cohen can do. He's going to be one of the first drivers to set a lap on the fresher intermediate tyres. Of course, he ditched the run earlier on, so expect a good lap from Cohen. Probably expect a good one from Toxic. And Mercedes, Last race was sort of story of their season for both Cohen and Lars. Fantastic pace, but just too many mistakes in the race, both of them not finishing after a really strong qualifying session.
Yeah, like I said, it's the story of their season, really, for Mercedes. And, well, yeah, the problem is that Cohen has just been... He's been bottling it a lot, and Lars has been making too many mistakes. And with these two, they're such good drivers. They do have, like, great potential to prove themselves and really good pace. But in the race, they just seem to be making too many mistakes, and that's catching them out big time. And, I mean, as we've seen this season, we've seen Lars had many mistakes, of course, getting penalties in most of the races, and of course also making mistakes such as bumping his own teammate, in fact in Cohen, in Vietnam for example, and that's just cost the Mercedes valuable points, and they look like they could have been a championship contender as Toxic goes pole, but now they just seem to be a midfield contender, and in fact they could be filling the bottom, they could be the leaders of the bottom half of the table by the end of it.
Yeah, Cohen invalidated that run there, and he would have been good enough time to get himself into 7th place, but I do agree, Cohen, he's got a Schumacher helmet on, he's in a Mercedes. Unfortunately for him, he's driving a bit more like Schumacher did for Mercedes than Schumacher did for Ferrari. There's definitely pace there, just too many mistakes. Who else have we got coming towards the end of a lap? Just Call Me Bread, who's reserving in the Renault this time around after driving for AlphaTauri last week. Seems to be on a much better run this time. If he keeps it clean through the final corner, this could challenge some of those in the top 10. That is a big if, though, keeping it clean in the final corner around this circuit. So who else are we getting approaching the end of a lap now? Toxic looks like he's going on another run here. Faster again still, 3.5 tenths up. This is going to be one of them qualifying sessions. We always talk about track evolution. It's going to be crucial here. You want to be crossing that finish line to finish your outlap with about 1 or 2 seconds to spare. Because if you do that, you're going to have a fantastic chance of getting pole position.
Yeah, and it is one of those, usually in the dry session, it does happen that track evolution's important. However, it looks like this one's going to be even more important than anyone we've had this season, and Lars just bottles it there in the final corner, but they're all invalidating now their laps, but it really is going to be who can get to the line last to start their lap, and who can set the best time from that point, because the track evolution, the track's just getting so much drier, the cars are paving a nice dry line there on the racing line, and it's meaning that they can be, well, it's much more grippier, for example, and drivers can just take it much more quicker. And as we're seeing with Kausper here, he's almost a second up on his lap, so insane pace really now starting to show, and I wouldn't be surprised if it stops raining in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, we'll have to see if it does stop raining. We'll have to see if it gets dry enough for someone to go to the dry tyres as well. I did F11 and DRS was enabled when there was definitely still raindrops falling around this circuit, so you never know. Ferreira's now gone fastest in the racing point with Gabri in second. What can Kausper do though? 118.029 for him. The times are definitely falling around this circuit. Ryan heading towards the finish line on his debut, shoots his way up into 5th position. Boss Wanted diving into the pits. You got the Williams of Black Phoenix coming around the final corner now. He's found himself pretty low down by his standards in 13th. What can he do as he comes towards the finish line? Moves himself up into 6th position. And Black Phoenix, he did okay around here last season. Canada was on season 25. Finished in 6th position. A couple of 5th places for him. It's not been a bad season, but I think he'd have been hoping for maybe a tiny bit better.
Yeah, Black Phoenix in 3rd place. He's still in the hunt for 2nd place, but you would kind of doubt it now, wouldn't you? With Ginger's form in the latter half of the season, has just been outperforming anyone but your championship leader and current pole sitter right now. But really, at the end of the day, Black Phoenix, I'm sure he'd be happy with the season. However, I'm sure he'd also be thinking, I could have done more. Like, I could have really done more. I could have won some races. I could have got more podiums. He's got loads of podiums this season, 5 to be exact, but none of them being wins. And I mean, that's the problem with Black Phoenix. He's had good consistency, probably just not enough, and again, just not getting the wins. And that's really cost him this season of a potential 2nd place or even a potential championship fight.
Yeah, indeed. Could have maybe got himself involved in the championship. We'll see how he does now around the final corner. Can he move himself up even further. Ferreira's become the first man into the 1 minute 17s. Black Phoenix not quite joining him. Slots in behind Kalsper in the end on a 118.143. We've got another man who was looking as though he might be able to challenge Kalsper at one point in the season, but just seems to have faded quite a bit, and that is Zach. Let's not forget, he was the first person not called Kalsper to win a race this season in Spain. Had a podium either side of that, but again, sort of similar to Lars, but perhaps not quite as dramatic when it comes to just getting involved in mistakes that have cost him big points.
I just don't think Zach had the outstanding pace like he did in Spain. He had good pace in Spain, and he did have a good run for a couple of rounds. Britain, Spain, and Belgium all got podiums. I'm not sure if Belgium's podium was probably going to be legitimate at that safety car that went out, but really after that, he's been decent. But he's just not been quick enough. And well, this is a bit of a spanner in the works. He's got a lot of traffic ahead of him. And Black Phoenix may have put him off massively, but with Zach this season, he's been a funny one. He hasn't made the mistakes of Lars. Like, he hasn't been causing incidents or been in incidents whatsoever, but he's just not been really quick enough, and this could just be a real big spanner in the works with Cohen ahead of him. But yeah, with Zach, it's an interesting one, and I'm sure he'll be looking to improve it very soon.
Yeah, goes up to 8th place in the end there, but with some of the improvements we've seen from some other drivers, I'm not sure if he'd have been just maybe hoping for a tiny bit more. Bread coming around now to try and finish his lap. He's down in 17th, 2 minutes remaining. Ferreira on provisional pole position, and Ferreira's not been in this championship long, only 4 races. He's scored points in every race, he's had 2 podiums. He's really putting in some sort of under the radar performances. He tends to keep it clean, and I think it was China. We didn't really talk about him for getting a possible podium until the checkered flag had fallen, all the penalties are sorted out, and then we realised, hang on a minute, Ferreira's managed to get 3rd.
Yeah, what a confidence boost that must have been, getting that podium in China, and then obviously backing it up with the 2nd place in Bahrain. So Ferreira, really, he'd probably be looking to go one step further and get the win here today. And I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised. We've still got people out on the track, though. Boss Wanted now goes 2nd place, but Kalsper's out on the track. He's down through Sector 1. That's an interesting one. So just keep an eye on that. And there's a bunch of other drivers still yet to set really times that should be in the range. I'm talking about Cohen, of course, who's not set a time at all. The Flying Finn, Simply, Kazizel. Who's that? Who's just gone miles up? That would be Cohen, who has now set a respectable time. But I'm expecting all the drivers to at least get in the 1 minute 18s or venture into the 1 minute 17s. Kalsper down by 1/10 here, so this is really interesting because it does not look like Kalsper's going to improve here.
No, he is going to have time to get one more lap in, though, thankfully for him. Super Mario, he's invalidated his lap. Oh, there's all sorts of traffic happening here. Toxic invalidates his lap ever so slightly. The Ferraris and the McLarens seem to be slightly getting in each other's way at the moment. Zach, can he find another improvement? No, he can't. He's just going on to what would be his final run. Not long left now in qualifying. A few drivers will be hoping to get a last lap in. Thyman invalidates around the final corner. You got one of the Renaults behind him. That is pit Matt. A lot of drivers have gone for a 3rd set of the intermediate tyres. That suggests to me it is going to be dry for the race. Boss Wanted, he's just going to get across the line in time. Black Phoenix misses out, so he's going to be 4th at best, and that is why it is crucial to get the timing right. Cohen has invalidated, no higher than 6th for the Mercedes driver. That would still be a pretty reasonable qualifying session, though, for him to say he only really got one clean run in. I don't think he'll be too bothered about that. Simply seems to have struggled a bit in this session. He's down in 14th. He's invalidated. No improvements for him. What can Calzo do? Highest placed man in the championship so far. Yet to get a podium. And that's the biggest hit we've seen anyone do on the Wall of Champions at the moment. Kazizel, sorry. He comes across the line, shoots his way up into 5th place. Then you've got Gabri coming across the line. Flying Finn in 11th at the moment. Lars flies his way up the order into 6th. Now the Ferraris heading towards the line with the McLarens behind him. Zach drifts his way through the final corner. We won't see an improvement for him. Kalsper takes pole position. 117.496. It's what Kalsper does. Ferreira has invalidated. Toxic doesn't move up any further behind. Pitmat's going to be one of the last drivers to set a time. Ginger yet to set a time, well, yet to set a competitive time. He shoots his way up into 5th. Pitmat comes across the line. He goes into 11th. Are we going to see an improvement from Boss Wanted? No, he is invalidated. That is qualifying over. It looked for a second as though we were going to see a different pole sitter, but he's a second pole position in a row for Carlsberg, our champion-elect. It's been a fantastic performance from him so far this season. Forever in second, Boss Wanted. Great qualifying session from him in these intermediate conditions to take 3rd. Black Phoenix 4th, Ginger 5th, Ryan on his debut as a reserve is 6th, Kazizel 7th, Lars 8th, Gabri 9th, Cohen in 10th, Pitmat is 11th, Toxic 12th, Super Mario, Bread, Calzo, Zach, Simply and Thyman rounding out the grid. Might be interesting to see if some of those further back have gone for more of a dry setup if it does end up being a dry race.
Yeah, more interestingly, all these guys can choose their tyres for the race, if it is a dry race, that is. We're not going to see people in the top 10 have to choose soft tyres, so Kalsper could actually choose to do medium, soft, or medium, soft, which possibly could work. I doubt it, but like with no use of those tyres, there's an extra 2 or 3 laps probably they could get out of them as well. So maybe we could be looking at some drivers thinking about a soft, medium, soft, or maybe just using 2 sets of the soft tyres. It does look like we could be seeing rain, and maybe the tyres that are chosen will reflect whether we will or not, but there's a lot of strategy to play around this track, and I'm very interested to see what the leader puts on, what the back markers put on, what everyone puts on this session.
Yeah, definitely. It is going to be interesting. Like you said, medium, soft. I think we'll see a lot of drivers doing that. Because of the nature of the pit lane, you pretty much cut off that final chicane and you come out round about turn 2. So, very short pit stop loss compared to a lot of circuits. Makes for 2-stop possible. And you do wear out the rear tyres just because of our traction zones. Big announcement for PSGL today. Of course, the Season 27 calendar was announced earlier on the F2 stream, starting in Australia at the beginning of December. Finishing round 12 will be at Japan in March, and a few different tracks around there. Definitely some tricky ones for the drivers to contend with next season.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something now, I can give you my personal opinions on it. I do not like that second half to the season whatsoever. It's not my cup of tea at all, but a very interesting calendar indeed. And it seems very technical, doesn't it? Very difficult circuits on that calendar. Of course, Monaco, Russia seems to be a difficult one for some people. Abu Dhabi seems to be a difficult one as well. And obviously, you got the exhilarating finishing track of Japan. You not finish with more of a historic track. I mean, excluding Brazil perhaps, but Japan, again, it's been one of those like season finishes for a long time, and everyone loves Japan, don't they? It's a very fast-flowing track. It's a track that people enjoy, and you know, in qualifying, it seems spectacular to race around there or drive around there. So there's a lot of tracks really that I dislike, but also the tracks on there that I do like, they do seem like really good tracks. And you know, I think a lot of drivers will enjoy some of the tracks on there and have a dislike for some of the tracks as well, such as what myself does. I'm just looking at the strategy for this race, and oh, this is interesting. Look at that. Most people starting on the mediums, 3 people on the softs in Ferreira, Boss Wanted, and Black Phoenix, and look at that, Lars on the hard tyres. So very interesting indeed, because Lars is he's in the midfield on the hard, so he should be swamped by those on the mediums, and Ferreira, Boss Wanted, and Black Phoenix all going to be chasing after Kalsper from lap 1.
Yeah, for those 2nd to 4th, they're going to need to get away pretty well and get ahead of Kalsper. Lars' decision makes me think that we are going to see some rain in the latter part of this race, because you wouldn't normally use the hard tyres at Canada. I don't see why you'd do that unless you were trying to get there until the rain comes. We'll have to wait and see. The driver's just lining up for the grid now. Kalsper knows that if he finishes where he starts, if he finishes in the top 7, he will take the F3 Championship, and thanks to our sponsors, Brutal Democracy, earn himself a nice £20 for doing so. Thyman, last man to come into his grid slot. Will we see some of those faster guys further back? Calzo and Zach maybe move their way up as we wait for the lights to come on here at Canada. Will we see Kalsper take the title tonight? We're racing here in Montreal, and it is a pretty decent start from Ferreira alongside Carlsberg. Can he hang it all the way round the outside into turn 1? He's going to try and get the inside line for turn 2, but it looks like Carlsberg's just about going to hang on in the end. There was a bit of wheel spin there from Ferreira, so they're still going to be side by side on the way down into turns 3 and 4. And yeah, there we go. Carlsberg stays in the lead of this race. Ferreira has to settle for second. Boss Wanted has dropped behind Black Phoenix there, was having to go slightly defensive. So Carlsberg still in the lead of this race. Ferreira, Black Phoenix, Boss Wanted, Ryan, Ginger having a pretty okay start as well, as is Kazizel. Lars has dropped down on those hard tyres. You'd probably expect that, to be honest, in these early stages. Toxic's had an absolute nightmare of a start, and he's got big front wing damage as well, so his medium tyre strategy completely out of the window now. Might be a bit of a hint towards the weather conditions when we see what tyres he's gone on. As for 2 Alfa Romeos, they're battling into the hairpin. No team orders between them. Ginger stays ahead of Kazizel for now, and Boss Wanted trying to close in the slipstream of Black Phoenix. No DRS until lap 3, of course, and at the end of lap 1, Carlsberg just about managing to hold onto the lead there. The longer he does that, the better his chances are going to be. Ferreira, Black Phoenix and Boss Wanted need to get ahead pretty quickly.
I don't understand. Is Carlsberg in a different car or something? He seems to be having pretty much the same track grip there as Ferreira, Black Phoenix and Boss Wanted. Ferreira is closing in a little bit, but he needed to get by Carlsberg after turn 2. He had a golden opportunity there, and Carlsberg just got on the throttle much quicker and earlier than Ferreira, which I'm so surprised about, because not only are these softs not used, these softs at this current point of time should be much better on the grip, and therefore Ferreira should have really got by, but I'm surprised, and well, he's not really looking for an overtaking move, Ferreira, and I guess this is rather an interesting one. Doesn't really want to lose time battling, however, if he's stuck behind Carlsberg, could be a very interesting one. Is that just call me bread in the wall? Yes, it is, and I think he hasn't got any wing damage, which is quite a surprise there, so fair play to him. He will continue on forward, but, well, this looks to be a very, very interesting race indeed.
Yeah, it does. I think Bread might have made a bit of contact with Simply there through the chicane of 8 and 9 as Pitmatch jumped ahead of Lars at the moment, who's not really flying, unsurprisingly, on those hard tyres. In fact, he's coming under quite a bit of pressure now from Cohen, who's coming under some pressure from Super Mario, who goes down the inside of the Mercedes. A bit of wheel banging between the two of them, and Cohen managing to stay ahead. That might give Calzo the chance he needs to fight through, and you can see the view he's got as Super Mario down the inside again. There's a bit more contact between Cohen and the Ferrari. Calzo's now going to try and go round the outside of 5. Can he hang on? No, he cannot. Super Mario has another look, and he's very lucky not to lose part of his front wing there. Now Ferreira all over the back of Carlsberg. Needs to get a fantastic exit through the hairpin. Take a later apex, and Carlsberg straighten the car up, get a better run, and he should be able to take the lead of this race here. But you know Carlsberg, he'll want to win this title. He'll want to win this title with a victory, of course, but it does look as though Ferreira's got a pretty good exit there, and I'm not sure the McLaren's going to be able to do anything here. He hugs the inside line, and there we go. Ferreira, as easy as you like, standard DRS pass, takes the lead.
Yeah, that's no surprise. I was expecting that, and obviously DRS out the exit of this corner as well, so Ferreira's going to fly away now. I would not be surprised now if he does get a good advantage out ahead. This is good for him, as he will be ahead of Black Phoenix and Boss Wanted. However, perhaps in the finals he may be compromised. However, from what I've seen, there doesn't seem to be too much of a difference between the softs and the mediums. There is a difference there, I feel, between the softs and mediums on grip pace, but I think it's a rather interesting one going for the soft, I'm assuming soft medium, or soft medium perhaps, but for Carlsberg here, he's not losing time, but this is Carlsberg we're on about, let's not forget. But everyone on the medium seems to be keeping just about within distance of the soft drivers ahead, so right now there doesn't seem to be too much difference between driving on the softs and or driving on the mediums.
Yeah, unfortunately, as Ferreira's got a bit deep there, but doesn't get too bad of an exit. Unfortunately for the driver on the hards, Lars, it looks a bit like Portugal yesterday at the start of the race, where all the drivers were scrambling for grip, because he's got Cohen all over the back of him here, so we could soon see a swap between the two Mercedes drivers. And yeah, Lars, he does move across there ever so slightly, leaves the inside line open. It's not that easy to do an overtake into that corner unless you're already ahead before the corner, and there we go. Cohen is ahead for now, and I wonder if Super Mario will be able to put the flying fin under any pressure. Diamond comes into the pits. Wonder if he's had any damage in the Haas then. Down in 16th at the moment. Surely this is a front wing change, and yeah, it is. End plate missing on that car, so a front wing change. Pit Matt picks up a penalty. We're seeing a few of those. We did expect that around this circuit, especially when the cars are heavy on fuel and struggling for grip ever so slightly. This DRS is definitely helping Carlsberg at the moment. 3 zones on this track, joint most with like many other circuits as well that also have the 3 DRS zones, Mexico being one, Australia being another, and that's helping him stay in contact, and that's meaning Black Phoenix can't get within that magic 1 second window.
Well, now he is within that 1 second window, and out of it again he goes. Will he get the DRS? I don't think he was close enough in. It is helping him, Carlsberg, but he isn't able to get past it. I don't think he's fussing right now about it. He's got 70% ERS. He's not rushing to get past Ferreira. He knows that in that DRS, that is keeping him with the driver in front of him. And, well, he's not exactly losing time either, so for Carlsberg, he just needs to sit behind and sit in this DRS, and he's just going to fly, really, in his next few laps, because those soft tyres, when they do go off, they do go off around now, around lap 4 or lap 5 in the normal race, but obviously these are fresh tyres, so they will go a little longer on the softs, I reckon, but around lap 7, lap 8, the mediums are almost on point, or probably better than the soft tyres, so it would be interesting to see how Carlsberg does against Ferreira, and whether he'll get by him very soon.
Yeah, Cazizzo's looking very racy behind Boss Wanted, so Cazizzo, the next highest driver on the medium tyres at the moment. He's in 5th place. He's got Ginger not too far behind him as Calzo's dropping down the order quite dramatically. I wonder if he's made a slight mistake and picked up any damage there. No, he hasn't, as Cazizzo's gone for it at the hairpin past Boss Wanted. That's how much extra grip he's feeling on these tyres, and he's going to get the DRS as well. So Cazizzo up into 4th position at the moment. Ginger's not going to be close enough to take advantage. He might be close enough, though, to have a go into turn 1. We'll have to wait and see. Boss Wanted keeps it nice and clean through the chicane there. Is Ginger going to be close enough to have a go into turn 1? He most certainly is. Down the inside into the first corner. Both Alfa Romeos getting ahead of the Haas. It's safe to say these mediums are now starting to look like the tyre to be on.
Yeah, the softs looking very, very slow. Black Phoenix even losing even more time to Carlsberg behind 1.5 now. Ian Ogier Fireman has left the session. He is retired on track there. That's not really what you should be doing there, mate. No lie, but Black Phoenix losing a lot of time to Carlsberg. Carlsberg not moving past Ferreira, but look at his ERS. He's on 90%. He's been saving for so long. Ferreira's up to 35, but that's nowhere near 90. And look at Carlsberg at the exits now. He's getting so close to Ferreira, and well, Ferreira probably should be maximising the exit here, but then again, Carlsberg should have a bit more grip than Ferreira on those warm soft tyres.
Yeah, and I think a bit like we saw earlier on, there's not going to be a lot Ferreira can do about this. Carlsberg breezes past, takes the lead of this race. I wonder if we are going to see any of these soft-tyred runners come into the pits. There we go, Black Phoenix is in. He's the first one to blink on the soft tyres, 7 laps. About what you'd expect to see normally, but of course these were brand new, fresh, soft tyres, so I think a few drivers might have been trying to stretch them a bit longer. Medium tyres going on the Williams then, a standard 2-stop strategy as the sun has started to come out around this circuit, so it's not looking too bad at the moment. Black Phoenix in a bit of free air. What will he be able to do from 14th? Will he be able to do the undercut and get himself ahead of Ferreira, who is now in 2nd place? I imagine he's just going to be using the DRS to stay in contact with Carlsberg and maybe try and cover off that undercut. Gabri in his first race as a full-time driver in the Red Bull at the moment. He's in 6th position now, trying to put Boss Wanted under a bit of pressure. And it's not like Lars's hard tyres are really coming into their own at the moment, because again, he's now been passed by Super Mario. Cohen's escaped down the road, and Zach looking very racy as he tries to work his way into the points.
Yeah, and I wonder if Lars is trying to do a one-stop strategy here, like we've seen on many tracks before. That people have favoured the one-stop strategy, or reverse strategy as they like to call it, really, which would be hard medium here. I don't know if you could really do hard medium here. It's an interesting one. But at the moment, for Lars, the thing that's saving him right now is the fact that he is sticking behind Super Mario, sticking in his DRS. However, how much is that going to lay an advantage for him? Because obviously we know that Zack has the better tyre, which means he will have the better grip. Also, his teammates with Super Mario, so perhaps Super Mario is doing this to let Zack in, kind of. So Lars has got to be aware of that, and really he's just got to get by when he can. And maybe, hopefully, just stick with the two Ferraris if, well, Zack gets past or get ahead of the two Ferraris alternatively.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Ferreira and Boss Wanted have both made their pit stops then. Ferreira just coming out ahead of Black Phoenix, so that was absolutely crucial as Zack, they're trying to have a go at Lars. You can see how close he is to the back of him here. He's basically bum drafting him down the straight. NASCAR's normally just south of the border from here, but no. Zack trying everything to get ahead here. Lars isn't going to have DRS this time around. He's got the overtake on very briefly, and there we go. This is going to be another straightforward move. Zack up into 8th place, and I'm not sure this one-stop strategy is going to be the one, because if we get up the gaps to the leaders at the moment, he's only 5 seconds ahead of Ferreira, who's going to be so much faster on those fresh medium tyres. He tried something different, not quite sure it's going to work. As you can see there, simply trying to go all the way round the outside of turn 1. He's got so much more extra grip at the moment on those mediums. The hard tyres just don't seem to be working.
I just don't know why Lars is fighting this so much. The more he does this, the more time he's going to lose. And we've already seen with Ferreira. Ferreira's already gained almost a second on Lars in this first couple of corners alone. And that's because Lars is just fighting these positions so hard. That's losing him so much time. With Zack, the reason why he really got close to Lars, he got a really good exit out of, I believe, turn 8. And with that, he actually went onto the grass. So he did an Alex Albon at Belgium 2019, where Albon went on the grass, I think, to get past Sergio Perez, I think it was, and, well, it kind of just happened again here. With Zack, he went on the grass to try and get past Lars, and kind of failed through the first bit, but just had so much more grip on those medium tyres, and through the exit again, overtake on DRS, just so easy for everyone on those medium tyres to get past Lars, and for me, I don't think it's really worked out. It was a good curiosity, really, but it doesn't look like it's going to be working out very well.
Yeah, unless the weather goes back to what we saw in qualifying, this strategy isn't going to look the best. And even if that does happen, you can see already Ferreira's nearly made the pit stop up now. So it's going to be difficult for Lars to really get any decent result out of this race. Hopefully, though, he can keep it nice and clean, because we do know he's a driver who does have pace. So we'll have to see how it goes for him. His teammates is currently up in 6th place, just behind Pitmat and Gabri. Pitmat getting ahead of the Red Bull last time around, and it's been a decent performance so far from Pitmat. He always seems to go for the alternate strategy, but because of what happened in qualifying, starting on the mediums is what pretty much everyone did here. Picked up a few points last time out in Bahrain for 6th position for doing that strategy. Could get a very decent result here as well tonight. We'll have to wait and see how it goes for him. Cohen's got the DRS, as has Gabri up ahead, so we're not going to see any change for positions there at the moment on lap 11 of this race, and it is Kalsper leading the race, doing everything he needs to do to take this championship. Kazizel and Ginger, though, 2nd and 3rd place, making sure that Alfa Romeo stay in the Constructors' Championship for at least another week, though.
Yeah, and Toxic's incident on the opening lap was obviously a big blip for the McLaren team. I don't think they'll be worrying too much about it. They are miles ahead in that Constructors' Championship. However, I mean, the main person who we're talking about right now is Kalsper, of course, who I believe only needs around, how many points was it again? I think it was 4, weren't it, to win the championship. And well, I mean, I think 16 is a bit more than 4, so he's doing all he can to win the championship right now. Interestingly, Lars doesn't seem to be losing any more positions here. He should be slower than Ferreira. However, for Calzo, interestingly, it should be around the same pace between these two. So, interesting sort of debates or decisions to be made for Lars, for all the guys on the mediums right now, and when they'll come in. And I don't know when they come in, because I've never really done the medium soft strategy, because I've never thought about it. But I'm reckoning they're going to be coming in this lap as we see Ginger enter the pit, so that is pretty much confirming him to go onto the medium tyres again, is it? Yes, it is. So It looks like we're going for a medium soft strategy for the Alfa Romeo who's going down.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see if any of these drivers have gone for the soft tyres. I was expecting them just to go slightly longer, maybe to lap 14, maybe. As you go, Ginger's managed to stay ahead of Boss Wanted. It was pretty close between those two there. So Ginger gets ahead of Boss Wanted. Ryan and Gabri battling on their way out here of the pits for Gabri, and Ryan just about staying ahead for now in what is now the final points position. He is in 10th place. Cohen coming out behind Bread, which could hold him up ever so slightly, seeing as Bread is going to have DRS and he's on 12 lap old. Medium tyres as Ryan nearly having a big moment there. Gabri just about getting ahead. So Gabri gets back up into 10th place. Toxic picks up a time penalty. Out in the lead of the race though, Carlsberg 1.2 seconds at the moment, and the reason why it went down ever so slightly is because Zizzle now comes into the pits, probably covering off that move from his teammate. Pitmax and Super Mario in as well, and Carlsberg, he just knows he can take it a bit easier, pit when he wants to and do his own thing, not have to worry about having older tyres maybe towards the end, because he saw Ginger get a puncture. Carlsberg's decided, I've got enough of a lead here just to take it easy, just to run my own race and not have to react to what anyone else is doing. That must be a fantastic position to be in.
Yeah, and he's miles ahead. He's 15 seconds ahead of Ferreira. Keep an eye on that going down though, really, because I believe Ferreira was behind Carlsberg, but not by much. So just keep an eye on how much of a difference that goes down by. You only lose around 14 seconds, it looks like, during that. But for Carlsberg, I wonder if he is going to go longer, if he is going to experiment. He knows right now that whatever he does really shouldn't affect him too much in the championship, but I wonder if he is going to be more professional about this, or whether he is just going to be thinking, let's try something different. I don't think he is, as he does come into the pits now, does react to the other races behind him, and this is going to be interesting. Is Ferreira going to beat out Carlsberg with the undercut?
Yeah, this could be very interesting indeed. Lars has just lost 3 positions in the space of about 3 corners there. Black Phoenix sends it down the inside at the hairpin. Ginger gets him through the kink on the straight, and Kazizel ahead through the chicane then. And Ferreira, is he going to come out ahead of Carlsberg? Indeed he is. Carlsberg's coming out right in this battle. Black Phoenix not able to get the traction there on the exit of the corner. So we have seen a change for the race lead. Kazizel now actually managing to get back ahead of Ginger. He lost that position in all of the pit stops. Ferreira in the lead of this race, but Carlsberg's on fresher tyres and he will be on the softs next time around. So we'll have to see how this works out. Kazizel right on the back of these guys. He's only 1.2 seconds behind Carlsberg, so maybe he could get himself involved, but we've got a fantastic battle going on for the lead now. 7 cars within 3 and a bit seconds. We might be able to discount Lars though, because I think soon Boss Wanted is going to demote him into 7th place. No, the Haas decided to stay behind. He would have got DRS down this straight anyway, even if he'd got ahead, because the detection point is before you get to the hairpin. And there you go, nothing Lars can do. He drops into 7th as Carlsberg decides he doesn't fancy waiting around, takes the lead of this race.
Yeah, it looks like Carlsberg is set for a good win here. Everyone's going to be making stops again, and obviously I guess we don't want to discount Kazizel here, because if I am correct, Kazizel's doing the same strategy as Carlsberg most people are doing. A lot of the drivers like Ferreira and Black Phoenix will be going on to the medium tyres again. Surely they won't be able to stretch those mediums long enough to go on to the softs at the end. That would be very interesting indeed, but Carlsberg's pace on these medium tyres seems so electric. He's so quick on those medium tyres, and again, he's gonna launch himself way beyond everyone else, and he's doing that right now. Kazizel up to 3rd. What's happened to Black Phoenix? He's lost a lot of positions. No wing damage, so I wonder if he's just had a moment where he's gone wide out of the corner or just spun and kept it there just about, but he's lost a couple of positions, and well, this is looking very, very tasty for the championship leader and, well, champion-elect at this point.
I think it's just older tyres for Black Phoenix and Boss Wanted and Ferreira, because in the space of a lap he's dropped nearly 2 seconds to Carlsberg, who I'm expecting to see his name pop up at the bottom of the screen soon with fastest lap just next to it. And there we go, 1:10.587 for Carlsberg. I think Super Mario is the only other driver before that lap and got into the 110s as Kazizel down the inside into turn 1. He goes. Forever's got the inside through 2. Has he got the traction though on the exit of the corner to stay alongside the Alfa Romeo driver? No, he has not. So that is Kazizel now up into second place. Ginger will be hoping to follow through soon and get into third and get a potential podium slot as Toxic is out of the race. That is a retirement in the pit lane, so shouldn't cause a safety car. We've seen 2 retirements now, Toxic and Diamond both deciding enough is enough, leaving us with 16 runners in this race. Carlsberg in the lead, Kazizel second, Ferreira in third for now, but I think his hold on that place is getting increasingly slimmer and slimmer. He'll have DRS this time around. It wouldn't surprise me though if Ginger's still able to make the position into the chicane at the end of this straight, as there we go. DRS will be open on both of these cars. Ginger's got a bit more DRS, and he'll have a lot more grip as well on the brakes. I said it's very risky to go on a move for the brakes into this final chicane. He's able to do so. Ferreira very sportingly knows when the fight was over. That is Ginger up into third position. Further back, we've got a bit of a fight developing as well. Pitmat and Gabri starting to catch up to the back of Flying Finn, Boss Wanted and Black Phoenix as well. I think those guys and Ferreira will start dropping back from the top 3.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you something now, that move on the wall at Champions for Ginger, that was very daring on the brakes there, and I don't know if that was just Ferreira who broke a lot earlier than Ginger, but Ginger looked like he broke very late compared to Ferreira, and he got the move done as well. Brilliant job from the Alfa Romeos, dispatching dispatching the drivers they needed to get rid of, and now they're going to be in a really good position to finish a second and third here. And like you said, that's really good for the Constructors' Championship. Very difficult when obviously you've got someone scoring a mountain of points like Carlsberg is doing in this race, but really for the Alfa Romeos, this is good work from them, as they will be receiving a maximum of 22, maybe 23 points at the end of the race, potentially, if of course they get that fastest lap at the end. We'll just have to wait and see, really, to see what all these 3 do when they come in, what tyres they go on to, which, well, it would be the soft, surely. I doubt any of them will pick the hards, would they? So, really, for me, it's all about who picks in first, who's more daring, and who has got the knowledge, really, of how long the softs go and how much quicker the undercut would be for the fight for the win. We know the pit lane is quite short here, so you don't lose much time, but how much time do you gain from a lap around this track?
Yeah, we'll have to see. The undercut does seem really powerful around here as Ryan puts on the soft tyres for his second stop. You are not getting them 17 laps through this race, so this is a 3-stop strategy. We were expecting 2 from most of the drivers. I was not expecting 3. That is one thing, as Cohen now works his way, tries to work his way past his teammate, and they're getting very close indeed there through the chicane. Lars being forced to go over the chicane there. Not really a lot he could do about that. I don't think there's going to be much he can do about defending this position here as he gets squeezed onto the grass by his teammate. It's like having Hamilton and Rosberg back with these 2 at the moment. Zach now trying to get a piece of the action here. Let's not forget Lars hasn't pitted yet, and now Zach finds himself on the grass, and Lars in the end, there's not a lot he's going to be able to do about this. He now drops down to 11th position. Still got to pit, of course, and now he comes into the pit. This will be medium tyres, I am sure, and even them getting them 16 laps, it's doable, but you're not going to have fantastic pace at the end of this race. Mediums go on for Lars, and he is going to drop a long way down the order behind Calzo. Will come out ahead of Bread, so he's just got to hope some of these drivers maybe get themselves in a bit of trouble. Maybe he's got to hope for a safety car when a lot of the others come in for their second stop, and that might allow him to make his second stop and not lose too much time. Otherwise, it's safe to say starting on the hards and going for this one-stop strategy has not worked whatsoever. Such a shame for a man who was showing such good pace, let's not forget, at the start of the season. Ginger seems to be dropping back from the top 2 ever so slightly. Kazizel's keeping the gap at about 2 seconds to Carlsberg, but he's definitely pulling away from his teammates.
I wonder if we've got the drop-off point now, really, for the medium tyres. I wonder if this possibly is a little bit of the drop-off point for those mediums. And, well, interestingly, say about Lars, he could still be on for a good result, because it seems like the older medium tyres seem to be so much more worse than the fresher new medium tyres. And well, this could be really interesting towards the end of the race if he does push, because at the end of the race he's going to be on bad tyres, when others are probably going to be on better tyres. But then again, those drivers are not going to be on much better tyres than Lars. So this is a very interesting one to think about, really, because Lars could be on for a good result, but he's just lost so much time, really, through this one-stop strategy, and the hard tyres just didn't work at all, really, for him. And, well, what he said on his in-lap, it looks like he was just paddling a bit too hard again, and that's lost him even more time in this battle for points, as it looks like now.
Yeah, it does look like the odd point might be the best he can hope for. Just might need to manage these tyres ever so slightly if he is planning to get them towards the end. And I do think around 7 laps might be the point where you start struggling on the mediums all of a sudden. It's like a switch is hit because Kazizel lost about 3 or 4 tenths all of a sudden on this lap for Carlsberg after keeping the gap fairly constant. And you can see Ferreira and Black Phoenix haven't dropped as much behind Ginger all of a sudden. And in fact now Pit Matt is all over the back of Boss Wanted, drops a bit into the chicane, and that is because Boss Wanted, he's the first man to blink. He started on the softs, so he'll be going onto the mediums once again for his final stop in this race. Should come out, I believe, just behind Calzo. I think he will come out ahead of Larsen. So Boss Wanted, he'll be down in 13th position. How high up the order can he get on this strategy? Those on the softs really needed a better start to this race, but once the DRS became active, they couldn't really attack because some of them were stuck in a DRS train, and Ferreira couldn't shake off Calsper. Backfired for them ever so slightly. Those on the mediums, though, looking very decent to get some really good points today.
Yeah, and I mean, Black Phoenix right now looking very good. However, he has to pit onto mediums again, and this is really interesting, isn't it? Boss Wanted on fresh mediums. He should be quicker than the leaders, shouldn't be troubling the leaders. But however, we know that those soft tyres, they go off way quicker than expected. Around 6 laps really is sort of like the thing for those medium tyres. And I wonder how long Calsper's going to be on those medium tyres to say, hey, it's time to go onto the softs now, it's fine. I've been looking around at lap 28, possibly. 27-28 time for them to pit onto softs. I don't think they'll pit anytime soon. The ones on the mediums are only pitting on for their second set of mediums. And how have they come out compared to Boss Wanted? Where's Boss Wanted? Where is everyone else? Black Phoenix seems to have got out quite far ahead, and well, this is interesting. Ferreira coming out right behind his teammate. Is he going to let him go? Yes, he does. So good teamwork there, and it looks like Ferreira has now just got a bit of a chasing game.
Yeah, Ferreira's now just got to try and go for it on these medium tyres. They will last a lot better now that the fuel's starting to burn off on this car. You put in less weight for braking, acceleration, steering, less stress all the time. So the tyres last so much longer, and you can throw the car around a bit more and have some fun. So he expects him to catch up quite quickly to the back of the rest of the pack, but by the time he's got there, they should of course be coming into the pit. So we'll wait and see how it all develops with these guys. Probably see where they come out relative to the 2 Alfa Romeos, who will be on the soft tyres of course during their next stint. Battle for 4th place then. Looking back at Pit Matt, who's just got a bit of a gap over Gabri at the moment, but then you've got Cohen and the 2 Ferraris of Zach and Super Mario, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th position. These are the guys who I think you'll be seeing Phoenix, Boss Wanted and Ferreira with battle towards the end of the race. It all depends on how long can these guys go on the mediums to get the softs on and have them as fresh as possible, like you said. And it seems as the tyres get older, Carlsberg now just seems to get better. He's got that gap up to 4 seconds all of a sudden. He's got 1 lap fresher tyres than Kazizel. He can afford to wait for Kazizel to pit. I think in about 3 or 4 laps time, once he puts the soft tyres on, there's not going to be a lot everyone else can do, as Ryan has completely lost his front wing. Gets that changed, comes into the pits, puts on another set of soft tyres, and again, I'm not sure how handy they're going to be looking in 12 laps time, but at least he's carrying on. That is his 3rd stop of the race. He's at the back, he's carrying on, because if there's a safety car or something, you never know what could happen to him in this race, as Brett earns himself some penalties. And looking back to Cohen, Zach and Mario, in fact Zach coming into the pits 11 laps on those mediums, a bit earlier than I would have expected, especially for a second stint on the mediums, because he's going to have to do 11 laps on the softs as well. He's just going for the undercut here.
Yeah, he is going for the undercut. I don't I don't really know what I want to say about that one. That's a rather risky one. On those soft tyres, especially the rear end of those soft tyres, they'll be gasping really right at the end there. And I wouldn't say he's in puncture territory for him, but those softs will definitely not look good by the end of his stint. And that's an interesting gamble there for Zach, because this could potentially pay off. The soft tyres do last around, well, in this circumstance, since they're new, fresh ones, around 5-6 laps. So really, perhaps it's a test to really see if he can just go on and get himself fastest lap. And not only that, probably a gamble just to get ahead of the field behind him and possibly just defend for his life on the final few laps. But interesting there from Zach, though, going on to the soft tyres at the end. Be tracking I'm guessing we'll be tracking his progress pretty quickly, and because he's all doing the same now.
Yeah, if it does work out for Zach, he could end up getting a 4th place, which would equal his finish last time out. Ooh, front wing change for Kazizel. That maybe explains why he was losing so much time. Doesn't look to be a large amount of damage on that front wing, but just enough that he decided to change it. And this might bring some of those others into play as Lars gets himself a penalty. We saw Gabri and Simply get pit lane speeding penalties during all that. And Zach is going to come out now just behind Kazizel. I'll tell you what, Pitmat and some of these others might be in play for a possible podium at the end of the race all of a sudden, thanks to that front wing change from Kazizel, because Pitmat was about 2 seconds ahead of Zach. No, the undercut will have affected things. We'll just have to wait and see. Gabri comes out in 10th. Cohen in 11th place. Super Mario, he must have had a speeding penalty as well, because he is 12th. Simply in 13th. Calzo's been into the pits. He is currently in 15th place. Expect Ginger then to probably come in this lap or next lap. He was one of the first drivers to put on the second set of medium tyres. And here we go. Ginger gets it slowed down in time. He's into the pits. Reacting to Kazizel. Probably doesn't need to that much, because obviously his teammate had a front wing change. Might be interesting to see where he comes out relative to Ferreira, Black Phoenix and Boss Wanted. It's going to be pretty close between those three and the Alfa Romeo driver.
Yeah, and let's not forget they're on the soft tyres as well now, so they will be ramping up. We've already seen this. Kazizel, 2 seconds off previously. He's almost in the DRS already of Boss Wanted, who's on those 5-lap-old medium tyres. And look at this, Ginger coming out ahead of Boss Wanted. Right behind the 2 leaders ahead of him is Fluden Kalsper, who's now 22 seconds clear on a track which only has really around a 15-second pit stop here. So Kalsper looking very strong to take this win in quite dominant fashion, I would say. And well, what a season he's had, and what a way to end it off. But it's not over just yet. Things can happen, and I'll tell you what, Ginger is in the frame to be in the next car to cross the line behind Kalsper. So if Kalsper, for example, does bottle it in the Wall of Champions, kind of ironic, really, in some sense, then we could be looking at something quite incredible, really.
Yeah, you never know what could happen towards the end of the race. Kalsper goes on another lap, so it does look as though lap 28 is what he's going for. Then 14 laps on the first set, 14 laps on the second set, 7 on the soft. Seems like a pretty standard strategy, really. The battle at the moment, though, is for second place. You've got Ferreira, Black Phoenix, Ginger, Kazizel, Boss Wanted, Zach, Pitmat, Gabri not too far behind, Lars and Cohen still going hammer and tongs at the moment, as we've got a yellow flag and we've got a virtual safety car then. Probably a bit too far around the track for Kalsper to take advantage. That is Ryan out of the race, coming out of turn 7 by the looks of things. And depending on how long this goes, this could just help Kalsper out even more, of course. If he can get a bit of a... No, he won't get a free pit stop. He might have a chance of getting a bit of a cheaper pit stop, as long as he doesn't speed under the VSC. That is the last thing any of these drivers want. It's not lasted for that long. VSC is disabled. DRS is back up again. And you can just see how much closer everyone seems to have got to the back of Ferreira in all of that.
Yeah, and I don't know why, but Ferreira is now 24 seconds behind Kalsper. I swear before it was like 22, so I don't know what's happened there, whether Ferreira's made a mistake or something, or something's really happened. We'll have to look into that a bit more, perhaps. But Ginger right now on the soft tyres, 3 tenths behind Black Phoenix. It's very, very close between these guys. And look at Black Phoenix now looking for a move on Ferreira to the inside, and it's a nice and easy move in the end for second place. That's not helped Ferreira at all, because look right behind him. It is Ginger, and he will in the end have the inside line. Will he be looking on Black Phoenix? No, he doesn't. Just slots in behind the Williams. So really now the soft tyres are going to work, and really now we should be seeing the fastest lap starting to come in, especially from the man in front, in the lead, Kalsper.
Yeah, I think it was crucial that Ginger got ahead of Ferreira there, because you do not want to be third man in a DRS train. We've said it so many times this season. When you're in that third man position, it can all go horribly wrong. Still, you've got the two Mercedes battling like mad for 10th and 11th. Ferreira has now dropped behind Kazizel as Bread sets the fastest lap of the race, 109.715. That is how quick they are going at the moment. Now, what can Black Phoenix do? He's got no ERS. He's going to have no DRS. To be honest, I don't think he's going to have no chance of stopping Ginger getting ahead of him on this straight here. This is going to be such a straightforward move, and Kazizel will probably think about having a go into turn one as well. But there we go. Ginger takes second place. Kazizel might be taking third soon. It'll be a good performance from Kazizel. It'll be his first podium of the season. He's come close on occasion. He looked really good in Italy, in Japan. He had that incident with Lars towards the end, and there we go. Kazizel takes third position then.
Cohen took Lars out here. The two Mercedes have come together. Well, we haven't. That's not the first time we've heard that one, have we? But Cohen has just basically wiped Lars into the wall at Wall of Champions. That is interesting. They're teammates here. I don't know what they were doing. Cohen's just gone to the outside here. Should have had the position. Lars just stuck with him, and Cohen just basically gave him no room into that corner. That's not really a corner you can overtake, but Cohen was the lead car, and Lars just stuck it down the inside there and then ended up getting punted into the wall. And, well, he's lost a lot of time. He's on the soft tyres again, but, I mean, that was an interesting one, and I'm sure that there will be a bit of handbags for those two Mercedes, as they are, of course, teammates there. But, yeah, that was a very interesting one indeed. I was expecting that coming from a long mile away, to be honest with you. Battling very, very rigorously, very hardly, and I don't really know why they're doing this. They're battling for a point, and they're both in the same team. Like, you know, just think it's inevitable for Lars at the moment, because he was going to finish outside the point. So I just don't know what happened there. It was silly from Lars. I guess, you know, probably a bit too confident from Cohen going into the corner. I just don't really know what to say about that one.
I mean, I agree with you. That was coming from a mile off. How close they were battling through various corners. At some point, I think it was inevitable that the two of them, frustration was going to take over and they were going to come together. But again, it looks like a race where the Mercedes drivers showed some decent pace, both in the top 10 in qualifying. Cohen is currently 10th, and I wonder if he's actually managed to pick up any damage in all of that. No, nice and clean, but he's got Super Mario not too far behind him at the moment, and Lars in last place, and probably not really got any chance of finishing any higher than that unless we see some mistakes from some of the other drivers. Ginger now trying his best to hold on to that second position. He's leading this train of cars. Black Phoenix and Ferreira and Boss Wanted doing a pretty good job of hanging on ahead of Zach at the moment. And let's not forget, he was the first man to put these soft tyres on for the final stint of the race, and we said he might struggle a bit, and I think already he just doesn't have the grip of some of those ahead of him that are on the older medium tyres. I think already these softs are probably worse than those on the 9-lap old mediums, although I say that, Boss Wanted gets very close to the wall through the final chicane, and that is going to be straightforward for Zach. He takes 6th position as Ginger now drops behind his teammate Kazizel up into 2nd, Zach up into 6th, and Super Mario gets up into the points as well. Good performance from Super Mario, currently in 10th position, takes that position off of Cohen, and that would be Mario's. Well, he managed to get points in the last 2 races he attended in Japan and China, so I think he'll be fairly happy if he can get 1 point today. I don't think any more than that's going to be possible. Boss Wanted really struggling now all of a sudden here as Pit Match finds his way up into 7th.
Yeah, and he's clattered the wall there. Has he got wall damage? No, he hasn't. He clattered the wall very slightly there, but he's losing a lot of time very quickly. And we look about this Lars incident with Cohen here. Look what it's cost the Mercedes. They were battling for a point. If Lars just let Cohen go, there would be a 2-second gap. Now Cohen sits himself outside the points, and I guess relying on who's got penalties really. And well, I just don't know what to say about the two Mercedes this season. They've been both as bad as each other. They're like two brothers who just have all that disrespect in the world for each other, but still somehow relate to each other in some certain way. Very interesting sort of team there, the Mercedes this season, I must say. But anyway, Gabri sends it up the inside, or was that round the outside of Boss Wanted? He is struggling loads, isn't he, Boss Wanted? But I'm sure now he'll be finishing 9th place at lowest. I'm sure he will be losing out to Super Mario with only 3 laps to go.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure Boss Wanted will be in 9th place. What could get interesting though, can Zach work his way past Ferreira and Black Phoenix here, and can Pitmat catch up as Lars has retired in the pit lane? I imagine Cohen will be wishing he did that quite a few laps ago. So we are down to 14 runners in this race. We know who's going to take the victory. We know who's going to take the championship victory with that as well, as he comes around the final chicane for the 33rd time out of 35, 8.5 second lead over Kazizel. It's been a dominant season. It's been a fairly dominant race as well for Karlsberg after taking pole position in those wet conditions. Ferreira not getting the best exit there through the final chicane. That allows Black Phoenix to get a bit of breathing space. Zach's soft tyres might be looking a bit worn out all of a sudden here. He's in 6th. He should be safe though to Pitmat and Gabri. Ooh, he won't be safe if he keeps exiting corners like that. Bit of wheel spin from Zach coming through turn 2. Pitmat is 7th, Gabri 8th, Boss Wanted 9th. Super Mario just holding on to 10th place at the moment from Cohen. Black Phoenix doing a good job keeping Ferreira behind him. Bit surprised to see Ferreira's actually dropped back, because he really did look the fastest out of those on the softs early on in this race.
I just think it's down to strategy, really. It seems like the medium soft was the better way to go, where Ferreira thought, here's my plan here, get ahead of Karlsberg, just dart on those softs. It just not the plan hasn't really worked for him, and he's actually dropped behind Black Phoenix, who was also on that strategy. So on these medium tyres, he just seems to have not fared off better. And well, the soft tyres now, I'm assuming Zach must be exhausted and worn out. And we're talking about Ferreira. Ferreira's going around the outside, and that's a nice and easy move on Black Phoenix as we do enter the final lap then. But really, interestingly, Zach goes by Black Phoenix. Well, this is interesting. Where did he come from? Out of nowhere. He's come from nowhere to be 5th. He's close off 4th, and well, penalties, there's been a lot at Canada here, especially today. We're seeing a lot of penalties. This could play right into anyone's hands. We just don't know who's going to be this podium at the moment.
Yeah, there's so many penalties. I don't think I've seen Karlsberg's name appear. His name definitely hasn't appeared 4 times, which is what Kazizel would have needed it to do to have any chance of taking the victory. But as Karlsberg rounds the hairpin for the final time, as long as he doesn't do a Nigel Mansell, wave to the fans and stall the engine, he has got this race won. He has got this championship won. It's never really looked in doubt. He had a 30-point lead, I think it was, after 3 races of this season, and it's not really dropped below that at any point. He has just been absolutely dominant. No one in F3! Oh my word! That is the biggest code brown I have ever seen. Karlsberg does take the victory. Very nearly losing the race win on the final corner. Kazizel gets 2nd, Ginger gets 3rd, Zach, in fact Ferreira ends up jumping up into 3rd on penalties. Phoenix 4th, Ginger 5th, Zach 6th, Gabri 7th, Matt in 8th, Boss Wanted is 9th. Cohen, does he have any penalties? Not enough to drop him out. Well, he does have enough to drop him outside the points, because Simply jumps up to 9th ahead of Cohen and Super Mario. Calzo's 13th, just call me Bread is 14th. I mean, you do the celebration donuts after the race. Someone did tell Karlsberg that, right?
I'm not sure, but you said it's just funny how you said Nigel Mansell, who obviously was waving to the fans, and he stalled his engine on the back straight there, and he only had 2 corners to go. Karlsberg had cut through the last corner and almost binned it right in the wall. Did he get wing damage from that? I think he did get wing damage.
There's a McLaren end plate in the middle of the straight here, if anyone wants to pick that up. But Karlsberg with the victory. That could have got very interesting indeed, because I imagine if Kazizel might have slammed the brakes on to let Ginger ahead, but in the end penalties would have meant Ginger wouldn't have won the race. But great job from Karlsberg to take the win. Kazizel getting his best result of the season, and again Ferreira. What was I saying earlier on? We don't really talk about him being on the podium, and then he pops up on the podium. He's done it again, 3rd position, but the person who will have a big sigh of relief, I imagine, after what was a fairly standard 34 laps and how many kilometres? About 3 kilometres, but the final bit was a bit risky. Karlsberg with another victory. He's 8th of the season. We've only had 12 races and he missed one of them. It's been absolutely fantastic from him. Kazizol gets his first podium of the year. Forever in 3rd. Soft, medium, medium. Probably not the strategy to be on today. Black Phoenix 4th. Penalties costing Ginger. In the end, he was 5th. Zach 6th from 16th. Great job from him after a disappointing qualifying. Gabriel was 7th. Pitmat in 8th. Simply picks up a couple of points. Boss wanted the final points finisher. Cohen, Super Mario, Calzo bred the rest of the finishers. Lars, a race to forget, I think it's safe to say, trying to make the one-stop work. He ended up making 3, did not finish. Ryan failing to finish as well, and Toxic and Diamond, the other retirements. Quite an interesting race, and it nearly got a bit too interesting for Karlsberg's reasoning at the end there.
I just don't know what to say really at the end. I feel like perhaps he forgot that he had to make it through that last corner. Perhaps he wanted to start doing us a bit.
Oh, it's been such a dominant season. There's never really been a point where it's looked like he wasn't going to win. We did wonder after Spain and Belgium, was there a bit of cracks appearing? But no, as soon as he came back, he was just so good once again. And we will soon, hopefully, be able to hear from him, as well as the man who got 2nd place there. Who knows what could have been if Kazizal hadn't picked up that tiny bit of damage in the second stint, because he was keeping Karlsberg honest, at least, at about the 2-second gap. And then when he'd have gone for the undercut, maybe the McLaren driver would have been under some pressure.
Yeah, and it's a whole point of strategy, really. I think the drivers who started on the softs, it didn't go well for them at all. And obviously Ferreira did get a podium in the end, but he only really got that down to penalties. And really, at the end of the day, that strategy didn't work. So those who started on the mediums, they just looked far quicker. And, well, Karlsberg especially, like, he got pole position, started on the mediums, and he was right on the pace of the soft drivers straight away. That was incredible, really, from him. And I mean, it was probably one of the most dominant races of the season for Karlsberg, and he's gone and won the championship with that. So, you know what they say, like, you know, when someone becomes a champion, they get a winning drive to finish it off, and, well, he's just done that tonight.
Yeah, a fantastic drive from Karlsberg, winner of the F3 Championship. He joins us now. I'd say that was a straightforward race. I said it a few minutes ago. That was a straightforward 34 laps and 4 kilometres. What on earth happened in that final chicane?
Oh, gotta do it for the fans. You know what I mean? No, I was proper pushing for fastest lap. Then I enabled overtake, and yeah, that happened. And before the race, like my Jeff, Captain Jobs, we was talking about just putting it in the wall of champions because I was going to be a champion, but that wasn't exactly the correct wall that we said on the last lap. I didn't mean to put it in the wall, it just accidentally happened. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all's well that ends well in the end. You did take a victory, another fantastic performance. Were you ever... I mean, obviously Ferreira got such a good start on the soft tyres, but you were probably expecting that. Was it always going to be start on the mediums, softs at the end? Because that definitely did seem to be the quickest strategy today.
I was going to do the complete opposite to what the guy in P2 did. So if he started on mediums, I would have went on softs, just because I wanted to like pull out a gap early. But because he started on softs, I just started on mediums, and the race was just one from there, really.
Yeah, an absolutely fantastic job. And I suppose now you can just... Well, I'd say you could just relax, but you've seen pretty relaxed all season. The final 2 races, you can get to an amazing 10 wins out of 14 races. I'm guessing that's the aim now.
I mean, I just take what comes, I guess. I mean, yeah, I'll happily add another couple of wins to my tally.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see America and Brazil next. So congratulations on the win and, of course, for champion. And first podium of the season for the man who finished in P2. Kazizol, could have been such a different race for yourself if you didn't pick up that damage in the middle of the race.
100%. Pace was actually surprisingly really good. Wasn't expecting that, but it's so frustrating because I was catching Casper even just a little bit of lap, and I was like, "On a minute, this is looking good." And as I said that, I hit the wall. So yeah, there's nothing much I can really do, to be honest. There.
Yeah, it must be a relief to get your first podium because you looked pretty good in your first race as a reserve in Italy and Japan as well. You had that incident with Lars. Nice feeling to get a podium and maybe a springboard to bigger things, maybe getting a win in the final 2 races.
Yeah, of course. Ginger keeps calling me his B driver, basically, so I needed to beat him, basically. But yeah, I'm really happy, to be honest, because I felt like Japan had the pace, Monza I was good, China I felt like I was pretty good as well, but just me making silly mistakes and just me being unlucky just didn't allow it. And I think today I was actually able to show like my pace, and of course there was probably more on the table, but I'm happy for P2 because a podium's a podium at the end of the day.
Yeah, great job from yourself. Sam, do you have any questions for our top 2 from this race?
I mean, first general question for you two is, did you see the PSGL Season 27 calendar? And, I mean, if you're both signing up, which I'm assuming you both are. Actually, I think Kalsper is going on a break for a little bit, unless things have changed. But if you have seen that calendar, what are your thoughts? And I'm going to start with Kazizzle to start with.
I know, I'm just looking at the calendar now because I haven't actually seen it.
Yeah, I'll have a look at that.
Well, I like Great Britain, to be honest. That's actually quite a nice selection of tracks. I hate Monaco though, so I don't know if I don't think I've ever got a podium at Monaco in any league race I've done. So I guess that'll be a target for next season as well. But yeah, they're all majority of the tracks are quite nice, to be honest. I like Great Britain. It's not even just like because it's home race. It's just a nice track to drive, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people like that. What about you then, Kalsper? Do you like to look at the calendar, or is it not one for you like it?
Like, considering I was doing the switch over to Will, yeah, I am going to have a break, so I might join up like during mid-season of Season 27, but I won't be there at the start, which is unfortunate, because literally I turn up for Australia, and then I dip from the rest because that's the only track I can do on a wheel.
I mean, you got a lot of time to prepare, to be honest with you. It's only the 26th of October. The season doesn't start till December the 1st, so perhaps you could change your mind, perhaps. Obviously, you're defending your title, and, well, you have a bit of time to do some practice on the wheel. And another question, really, for Kalsper here, and you've won the championship now. Is it gloves off? Is it just, just go in for the most fun racing you can, or are you are you going to be professional about it? Are you just going to be winning races and just doing what you've done all season, or are you just going to be experimenting with things or having a little bit of fun, as to say?
I guess I could switch up a little bit, but obviously I do want to go for race wins. I'm not sure whether the constructors is wrapped up or not, but
I'm gonna do some quick maths. So I think Sizzle's second, Ginger fifth. So that is, I said this would be quick maths. It's definitely not. 18 points for them. The constructors is not wrapped up. I believe it's 62 points ahead. So it should probably happen in America. But if something goes wrong for both yourself and Toxic, it's still definitely a chance.
It's wrapped up. There's only 60 points in it for the last 2 rounds. You can get 29
You're
points.
Right, I forgot that. It's, I was doing the 43 points from actual F1.
Yeah, Alfa Romeo are second.
Yeah, I've let us down. Sorry.
You haven't let them down at all. You came in midway through the season. I wouldn't say you let them down at all. You actually had really good performances and really bad luck. So don't put it down on yourself. And you did really well in most of the races where you did have luck on your side. But both of you just drove great races today, and all season particularly for both of you. You've had really good races and minimalising the bad luck, I suppose.
Yeah, thanks, I appreciate that.
Yeah, so cheers, Sam, for the questions, and cheers to our top two. Congratulations once again to Calsper on winning the F3 Championship. But that doesn't mean the racing action is over at PSGL. We've still got 2 more races to go in F3, of course. America next week, and then Brazil the week after. And the USA action starts tomorrow with the Formula Performance, the Equal Performance League. Make sure to check that out. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time around at Austin for the United States Grand Prix. Goodbye.